Welcome. There we go.
Okay, great. Okay, folks, here we go for our first endorsement process, and we have some great candidates. These are people that were not endorsed during the primary, but we're hoping the membership endorses them for the November election. We have, I believe, 12 people coming today from different cities, different counties, and we have looked over their questionnaires very thoroughly. Not everybody that submits one gets to be part of this. We get some wild ones here and there. Anyway, we're about ready. We are about ready to start. And I think the first person we're going to have is she still on here?
Yeah.
I don't see her.
She is here.
She is here. Okay. Yes. Nakenya Allen, and she's going to be introduced by Susana. Go ahead, Susana.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us this sunny Sunday afternoon. And thanks to all the candidates for being here. So I am absolutely thrilled to introduce my friend and fellow organizer, Nakenya Allen. So Nakenya is a longtime Martinez resident. She's a single mom. She's an organizer. She's the regional director for her region, for her district in Contra Costa County for the Democratic Party Central Committee. And she's probably best known in a lot of our circles for all of her really super powerful work with Black Lives Matter. She took the lead when no one else was out here in Contra Costa County, made a lot of national news, and she's just amazing. So without further ado, I will let Nakenya take it away and tell us why she is running for Martinez City Council.
So before we all start, responsible for timing the speakers. Each one of you is allowed 3 minutes, followed with how much time for questions, Carl?
Maybe about 7 minutes for questions. It's usually 2 or 3 questions. As long as we're on schedule, we can keep doing that.
So 7, that means 10 minutes times 12, we don't have enough time. So maybe 5 minutes?
Yeah, we do.
I think we do because everybody doesn't get a lot of questions.
Okay, so at most 7 minutes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Back to Susana.
Apologies. I was updating a link on the website. So for everybody on here, the candidate questionnaires are for the candidates who are speaking tonight are actually now on the website. It's having a little glitch. But I got the link fixed. So if anybody wants to look at a questionnaire, they are actually on the website. And I'll put the link in chat. So Nakenya, tell us a little bit more about you and why you're running for Martinez City Council and why we should vote for you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. My name is Nakenya. I am a longtime resident of Martinez. I spent a lot of time here just going to school and working. My voice was found in 2020, and a lot of that was because up the street from my house there were white nationalist recruitment flyers. And from there, I tried to rally up my neighbors to do a small protest of standing against white nationalism. And boy, was I in for something out here. At the time, I discovered that there were about 3 to 4 different white nationalist groups that called this Martinez place home. And it was a very tricky time for me. It was very scary. And it blew up. So I decided to make a lot of changes. Oh, is something going on? Okay. I decided to continue the work to try to make the city safe, clean it up, and make it livable for families like mine. I advocated as much as I could as a outside civilian, and then eventually I decided to run 4 years ago as the very first African American to do so in the city's entire history,
Wow.
which scared everybody because they were like, "Are you serious?" And I really felt the people. I felt that there were a lot of people here who wanted the changes. And so I decided to stay involved. And here we are 4 years later, and I decided to continue to be involved. I jump started Pride out here, I jump started Juneteenth. I advocated for funds so that these events can be celebrated with both dignity and pride. And I, created it so that it can suit the city that we live in. Needless to say, there are still a lot of things that need to be done, and I just felt like I was the best lead for it. And as a result, I decided to put my hand in there and not listen to the naysayers. I have to be honest with you, it's a nerve-wracking process. And I'm up for the challenge, and I'm really thankful to have you guys have me here to introduce myself. And if I am endorsed by you, I vow to make you all very proud, and I look forward to the support.
Thank you, Nakenya. Okay, so I'm going to take like a co-chair privilege here and ask you the first question. We probably have a couple more, but can you kind of tell us what is kind of the main, like, kind of your top priorities for Martinez? Like, what do you see as like the burning issues there?
Number one is the economy. As you know, racism is bad for business. So with that public national news that we made, there was really no systemic change, and as a result, the city became more of a liability to investors than they were an asset. And as we speak, when I was doing my research, I see that the city is going into bankruptcy. So one of the main things that I want to do is work on the structural changes that keep the city unsuccessful in these areas. Make people feel welcomed by changing some of our policies. In addition to working on that, public safety. We still have a public safety plan that is not seen through a diverse lens. There is still a little bit too much over policing, which also scares away diversity and hurts businesses. The other thing that we have is a lack of community investments. I am a mother of a special needs kid. Whatever I need for the summer, if I want him to learn how to swim with someone who's specialized, I literally have to go to another city. And right now, Vallejo is getting my money. So I am just one parent out of many who spends their money in other cities because we have no development in, a recreation center, no preventative, programs for kids. They literally just congregate when they're old enough in other areas, and they do get in trouble. We have a train station, so it does get unsafe. So there is no vision that kind of is shaping the city in a way that's going to create a foundation to help us be successful. And those are things that I am dedicated to doing. I would actually be these are the first time anybody has ever said these kinds of things here. So I guess I love a challenge. These are all things that would have to be developed. But the good news is I am not alone. There's county funds, there's probation funds, there's funds that I would be able to tap into around the city's bankruptcy to try to reallocate them into the right spaces. And as you know, as somebody who's never served in office, having people who I admire, who know the system, who understands how things work, to be guidance for me is going to be gold. And so I will definitely utilize people who know better in these areas. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And yes, and thank you for being one of those who is rising to the challenge, because God knows we need all of you. Question.
Okay, I've got a question.
Oh, okay. Mark had his hand raised too. So
Who?
Oh, Carol,
Mark raised his hand
Go ahead,
first.
Mark. Go
all
ahead.
right. Well, Nakenya, I'm so happy that you're with us this afternoon. When Susana said burning issues, I couldn't help but think about the fact that Martinez is literally in the shadows of the refineries. And I just wanted to get your thoughts as these refineries are winding down. what your thoughts are about making sure that the environmental damage and the economic damage that they leave behind doesn't have to be picked up by the money from Martinez taxpayers. Just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Yes, and that's a very good question. So when it comes to shutting down refineries, from my research, it that land would have to be pretty much off limits to the public, and there is a process for that. Before they phase out, as you may have known, there's been some protocol issues when it comes to, I literally live up the street from it. So, and there's a lot of elderly and a lot of, at-risk children who live in the area. So there has been a lot of issues with transparency. So there has been developed a community panel that's oversight, and I actually checked in with them the other day, and they're still trying to work on communication. And a lot of the reasons why the refinery wants to phase out is that they don't like all of the community involvement. It's what it sounds like. They don't like the accountability. They don't like a lot of those things. And it sounded like they were trying to move to a state where they would have less regulations, which I find, pretty sad to hear. But so far, we have the Board of Supervisors put that together. They're also highly involved. But when it comes to shutting down a refinery like this, it is an environmental hazard. Like, the land is pretty much going to be off use for a very long time. The soil has to be tested. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, and there is a process that doesn't really involve us, but it is definitely good to know because at some point they will be leaving. So.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Nakenya. And Carol, did you have a question?
I'm good. I just kind of wanted to, it can be a very short answer. Basically, are there a lot of Trump people out in your neighborhood or your city?
Say that again. I didn't
Are
hear.
there a lot of MAGA people, Trump people out in Martinez?
So, let's say I live on a block with 100 people, and let's say out of that 100 people, 75 of them will be Republicans.
Whoa.
So not every Republican is MAGA. And I tend to stay out of it because when I was trying to run the last time, I didn't want to be bombarded with things on a national level when I'm trying to develop things that'll be safety for us here.
Uh-huh.
My neighbors behind me are Republicans, and they are absolutely going to vote for me.
All
These are
right.
people who I've known for many, many years. I don't know everybody, but there are people who don't like the fact that, somebody like me would be a representative. But for the most part, I found them to be pretty open. I think that was why a lot of people did not support my run the last time. They just automatically assumed that just because they're Republicans, that they were just going to hate a black woman. But I was able to, as a politician would, be able to convince them that I would be their representatives as well. So their personal beliefs about me really shouldn't, get in the way of me being able to put together some policies that'll protect our lives.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's
But that's good for you to know. Martinez is a huge mixed bag of Democrats and Republicans. Like,
I have been there
you
like
cannot,
times.
you cannot get away from it.
Yeah, I've barely been there 3 times. So, I was kind of curious as to what the population was like. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nakenya. One last question, and Raphael, you've got it.
Yeah, so thanks for taking the time to talk to us, Nakenya. I had a question about one of the answers on your questionnaire. You marked no as your answer on the first question under core values. Do you pledge to take no money from super PACs? And I was wondering if you could expand on that a bit.
Yeah, so when it came, I think I also said something at the bottom as an explanation. When it comes to understanding super PACs, and I was able to research it, but I am not at that level. So at this time, no, there has been no approaching me for anything major. One of the things that I have come to understand when it comes to quote unquote super PACs is that they tend to represent or lobby a specific thing that doesn't always represent the values of the people. And so ultimately, regardless to where the money is coming from, if it's not going to align with the policies that I am trying to put out there to make the world better, I can't take it. I'm going to have to find another way. So money is a huge part of trying to be in politics, and I understand people who try to compromise. And as like we said, I am in a mix of Republican and Democrat, so there is already a sense of compromisation. But when it comes to where I'm getting my money and where people who feel like they have control over, decisions that I'm making using money, I would be very careful with that. So I haven't had anybody approach me, but that's my ideology around taking money, period.
I'd like to add one thing to that. In my opinion, that question is awkward and it's not worded in a way that works. This is just my opinion. That you read it and you're kind of not sure what we're asking. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, I guess that's it, huh?
No more questions. And I agree with Carol. I think there needs to be a little bit of definition. And Raphael, thanks for finding that.
Yeah.
Because I on the questionnaire and I was going to ask about it. And then I couldn't find the darn thing and couldn't remember exactly which one it was. Because it was the way that was answered was a complete contrast to the way everything else was answered. So I kind of thought that was the explanation for that.
We actually have a couple questions that are on there that are not worded right, and we're going to probably be removing them or changing them very soon.
Yeah, it's always a work in progress as the priorities of our progressive community change. Different things pop up. We're always trying to edit that and stay current with it. Okay. Thank you so much for being here, Nakenya. We really, really appreciate it. The process is after this endorsement forum, we do an election. We have an election, or we have people vote. Our members vote, and then we will let you know.
Okay, thank you guys so much for having me.
Okay, thank you for being here.
Yeah, feel free to stick around if you have time. If not, if you need to leave.
Oh, I could stay?
Yes,
I could be nosy? Okay, well, of course I will. I will hang out and see what's going on. Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. All right,
Okay,
Carol.
we're moving along now. Our next candidate is Jenny Wong, who's been elected and reelected to Berkeley as the city auditor, and she's going to be introduced by Mark.
Well, that's all the introduction that she really needs. I'll keep it short. Jenny is a good friend of our group, and Jenny is a good friend of concerned citizens in Berkeley as a great guardian of the public trust. I don't think any person in an open race has received more votes in Berkeley than Jenny did when she first ran in 2018. And for those of us who review her performance audits and payroll audits, Berkeley could not ask for any better than Jenny. And with that, I'm going to let Jenny talk about her role as auditor, what's at stake in this election, and checking in. Jenny, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's so nice to see so many familiar faces here. I've always really appreciated this group, and my first election, I was so proud to be endorsed by our revolution. As city auditor, I've applied my, I think it's now 25 years of audit experience to take on some of Berkeley's most pressing issues. As an immigrant, the first to graduate from college, in my family, I've evaluated Berkeley's programs and services using a social justice lens. I've conducted audits that have helped the city to define equity in street paving, for example, called for electrification of cities' fleet, promoted health by asking for increased restaurant inspections, and conducted audits of police response and overtime. Seeing a pattern in understaffing, I initiated an audit of staff retention and found that workers' morale was very low and recruitment was slow because of vacant staffing in HR, the very department that could relieve some of the staffing issues. And I also created the city's first whistleblower program. We launched that not pretty recently, and that allows city workers to report fraud, waste, and abuse of city resources. For me, it was especially important to create space for staff to report these allegations in a very safe and confidential way. I'm running for re-election because there's just more to do in the city of Berkeley. With a $30 million budget deficit in the city, I want to continue to ensure that taxpayer dollars are most effectively put towards the most essential services. We will be conducting audits of the Public Health Division, Rent Board, and business license taxes, which is one of the highest revenue generators in the city. And when we are able to make sure we get the most revenue, we can put them towards the most important services in the city. In addition to city work, I've also supported many progressive causes, including one being one of the first local electeds to endorse Bernie Sanders in 2020, and for years have been a member of Our Revolution. I was fortunate to have the endorsement of this group for my last two elections, and I really hope to earn your support for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Carol has her hand up. Carol, go ahead.
Okay, I don't actually know what an audit is. I know you put in hundreds and hundreds of hours into every audit you do. Can you kind of give us some tips about what it's about that you actually do day-to-day work? Like how you pick an audit and, all that stuff?
Sure. So what we do is we evaluate city programs and services to make sure they're being delivered efficiently, effectively, and proud to say the word equitably. We try to make sure that these are taxpayer dollars. This is really important funding, and we want to make sure that it's actually being done correctly. So what I do is, in deciding what to audit, we gather input from a variety of people, whether it's city council, staff. Very importantly, I knock doors and ask people, what are the issues that are most important to you? We did that during the first, I started doing that when I ran for office the first time, and we continue to ask for community input. We also look at, whether an issue is of a safety concern. For example, we put aside everything and did this restaurant inspections audit because the threat of foodborne illness that is a serious concern for Berkeley. So we gather input from a variety of different important people, decide what to audit, and then we will go and audit that specific topic. We have to abide by these. There's a million different rules in auditing. These are standards set by the Government Accountability Office. For every audit that you read, it will often say, this is done in accordance to government auditing standards. And so we have to abide by all these different rules. And GAO is where I used to work. So I'm very familiar with all of these rules to make sure that it's done independently, that we've not only just double check the work, but triple check the sources. We want to make sure our audits are reliable and that they're trusted by the community. And that's one of the things I really want to do, is to build that trust with community so that, they can really rely on what we say as a credible source of information. What else do we do? We conduct analysis, and that could mean conducting surveys or data analysis. In terms of survey, we conducted a very comprehensive survey of city staff during the retention audit, and we had a pretty good response rate. It was really important for me to do a comprehensive study to make sure that we are not just gathering information from one group of people. It was both workers, line staff, supervisors, department heads, and we gathered all of that information and made sense of it and then communicated it. And this is one of the parts of being an auditor is, we're not just in there with the numbers, but we need to know how to tell the story. We need to know how to communicate that information so that everyone in the community can can consume it accessibly. And so that's one of the things that we do. And that particular audit I'm really proud of because it really did expose this pattern of understaffing that we saw in the city. And that led to morale issues. One of the other challenges I have encountered in auditing, because it's not all just roses, it's we have some data challenges sometimes, and sometimes it's because the data is not in the format that we need to do that audit. But I really take pride in recruiting and having a really wonderful staff. For example, we sometimes have to create the data ourselves. So on our contracts audit, which we saw that there were some contracts that were not done competitively, and we want to make sure that these are done competitively because you don't want there to be potential, you want to make sure you get the most value out of that contract. And so you want to make sure it goes through an equitable, competitive process. But the data that we got were in PDF form. And so my staff had to sift through all of these PDFs and then create their own data set. And so sometimes in the city of Berkeley, because we have these antiquated systems, we need to be able to sift through all of this data. The other challenge I've had in the past, haven't had it most recently, was gaining access in this one circumstance to police data. And with that, I documented everything. And this is why it was so great to have community support. People wanted us to be able to get the information we need. And we were able to get council support to access the data we need. So, ultimately, we have the same goal as trying to make things better for folks. And hopefully through our audits, we can continue to do that.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
And for those who have read those audit reports, they're models of readability. So we're all grateful for that. Yeah, I don't think there's any further questions. Jenny, thank you so much for doing the work that you do. It's heroic work. I know it's hard work, and it's always, always, always appreciated by not just us, but everybody in Berkeley. And you're a model for the rest of the Bay Area. You really are. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and I'll hand it back to Carol.
Hey, that was really great learning a little bit about what Jenny actually does. Berkeley is really fortunate to have somebody so committed. Okay, so we're moving on to a big group of people now. We're going to be interviewing the Berkeley Rent Board candidates. Some of them are incumbents, some of them are newcomers. The people that we're interviewing are 5 people who were actually selected by a convention that was held here in Berkeley to select people for the rent board. There are a couple other people running. We did not include them. We see where they stand on things. And these are people that today here that are really committed to the rent board. And I'm a renter, so I really want the best people in there. So we're going to start with Richard interviewing or introducing a couple of people. Richard, you want to go ahead?
Thanks, Carol. And yes, our rent board is very, very important. So we're glad that those candidates are here tonight with us. All right, well, I guess we'll get started because we have, as Carol said, a good host of folks. But our first candidate that we want to introduce to everybody is Nathan Mizell. So Nathan is a current Berkeley Rent Board Commissioner, and I see Nathan's right there. Hello, hello. Nathan has been a commissioner and is now running for another term. He's been an unapologetic protector of tenants, of students, of the unhoused. He's been an activist in Berkeley for very many years. He was a former vice chair of the Berkeley Police Accountability Board, and has worked with the Berkeley People's Alliance and other community organizations that I'm sure we're friends with and love and know those folks. And as a rent board commissioner, he sits on 3 committees right now, and he goes to bat every single day for the people of Berkeley and all the renters and tenants that live in the city. And so, Nathan, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me. Apologies for the lighting. I'm gonna have to get that straightened up at this spot here. But yes, it's a pleasure to be here with Our Revolution. And the work is why I'm here. The work is why I'm running for reelection. Obviously, as it comes to affordability, as it comes to safe and affordable homes, the work in Berkeley is unfinished. We live, as we all know, in one of the most expensive regions in a very expensive, costly country. And too often the focus has been on, worrying about, developers and how people are making money and not enough on, are we treating the folks who live and work in our communities every day fairly in their homes? And for me, that work continues. I look forward to your questions, and I'm very excited for all of my slate members as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Nathan. Anyone have a question for Nathan? Feel free to raise your hand, put it in the chat.
I have a question.
Micael, go for it.
Hi, Nathan. I know I worked with you on the Berkeley People's Alliances. Do you think you learned something from that work that you can carry into your rent board?
I think so. It's good to see you here on Zoom here. I think, certainly with that work, I think the coalition building is the biggest thing I learned. The benefits of it, obviously the difficulties of it in terms of maintaining that strength, even though our individual organizations continue to do the work. But I think it really helps in terms of orienting towards the important progressive goals that I think we all collectively share. And when it comes to, renters and tenants, I think it is the basis of a lot of work. Obviously, outside of this, I've done work on police accountability issues. And, the roots of so much of this is, are you safe in your community? And what does that look like? And too often the conversation is focused on over policing. Too often the conversation is focused on, profits in terms of housing, and not often enough on the actual material conditions people face inside their homes in terms of habitability, in terms of the sheer price of rent, and obviously outside their homes in terms of how they are interacted with, frankly, government agents of the state. So all of those have interconnectedness. Of course, as a rent board commissioner, I focus on the housing, but I think I really learned why coalition building is critical as we all pursue these different, important, interconnected goals.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, Micael. Thanks, Nathan. Anyone else have a question for Nathan?
No, I think we can move on to the next person, Richard.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carol. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for your words. Of course, always good to see you. And the next person we can move on to on our list here is Ida. And I see Ida is right there.
Hooray!
So Ida is also running for another term on the rent board. She's a friend of ours, as we know, and she's a tenants' rights advocate, activist, attorney. She sits right now on the rent board on 3 different committees as well, including the Outreach and Accessibility Committee. She's been fiercely championing housing and tenants' rights for a very, very long time, even before the rent board. And she believes, like we all do, that housing is a human right, and she's dedicated to making sure that everyone has access to safe, affordable housing in Berkeley. And so, Ida, glad to have you here. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much to this very flattering introduction. I do consider this particular group as my Bernie family. Okay, I'm gonna cry. our, we all met through the work on Bernie's campaigns, and it was Bernie who inspired me to run for office in the first place. I never saw myself running for public office. I'm deathly afraid of public speaking and very shy. But here I am. Bernie pushed me out of my comfort zone into, mama bear fighting for our little cubs, for a survivable planet. And so since environment is kind of, it's my main focus, and it has also been the main focus on the rent board. I'm trying to find to forge new paths to make tenants more climate resilient, because right now there are a lot of initiatives, state initiatives available to homeowners, but none to renters. Us tenants, we cannot make any structural changes to our homes, so we are boiling in our top floor apartments with inadequate windows, inadequate insulation, et cetera, et cetera. So this has been the challenge. And in my current term, we've gone through challenges with data, as Jenny was describing. Data is an issue. We switched from paper to electronic data, and in the process, a lot of information wasn't properly sorted. So we spent the large part of the term identifying landlords who pay for electricity currently, and kind of designing a pilot project for that group of landlords, so that we can start something that would involve landlords and tenants and create better conditions for tenants as far as climate is concerned. I'm sorry, I'm getting into the weeds, but with the orange criminal in chief getting elected and eliminating anything and everything to do with renewable energy, it's been tough finding federal funding for these programs. So we had to kind of reinvent ourselves multiple times between the data and the funding. But the goal is to find funding to incentivize landlords to make their tenants more climate resilient. And other than that, obviously, I care for all the other issues, like aging in place with dignity. Currently, people over 50 are on a absolutely dire
Ida, please finish up.
Okay. So, aging with dignity, anti-gentrification, habitability, these are all issues dear and near to my heart. And I aim to continue working on them in my second term should I get reelected.
Thanks, Ida. Any questions for Ida? Sherry, go for it.
The environment is near and dear to my heart too, as you know, and sustainability. Is there some way we can start to pressure the legislature for more funds for renters? I know that this isn't your bailiwick, but I'm kind of curious if there's some way we can make available more funds for renters to have these kind of programs.
Well, I guess I'm a firm believer in lemons and lemonade. So currently, the Trump administration has given us hella lemons. So the lemonade we could make is really, I think we have a good opportunity in these conditions to pressure our legislature, because we have absolutely apeshit crazy gas prices, fluctuations, and this is something that everyone cares about. And there's impetus, like in the 70s during the oil crisis, the OPEC crisis, people came up, governments implemented all sorts of measures to conserve and make electrification and all these things. So I think we have a good chance right now to put big pressure on our legislature. And hopefully we'll have more progressives in the next term, both statewide and nationwide. I mean, nationwide, we know we will. California is another story.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I'm hoping that too.
Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, Ida. I think that's probably it for time, Carol, unless
Okay. Okay. The third person that we're going to interview, I'm actually going to introduce, and that's Avery Arbaugh. I've known
Hey.
I've known Avery around for a couple years. We actually ran together on a slate, I think once or twice, I'm not sure, to be delegates for the California Democratic Party. Avery is the strongest person I know on housing, involved on so many levels for renter things, housing. Avery, you tell us about why we should elect you. I know we know you're great, but let everybody know.
Right, can you hear me?
Yep.
Thank you so much for that introduction. My name is Avery Arbaugh. I'm one of the Right to Housing Slate candidates for Berkeley Rent Board, alongside Aiden Martinac, Nathan Mizell, Derek Rodriguez, and Vylma Ortiz. And we are running as the slate selected by you and other coalition partners in the Berkeley Tenants Convention to make housing affordable in Berkeley. And I'm personally running to be a champion for tenants and tenant unions on the Berkeley Rent Stabilization Board. 2 years ago, at this point, I was the field campaign manager for the Berkeley Tenant Protection and Right to Organize Act, which was a piece of legislation that gave tenants in Berkeley the right to form legally recognized tenant unions and bargain in good faith with their landlords. And since the passage of that law by Berkeley voters, overwhelmingly in November of 2024, I've been working with East Bay DSA, the Berkeley Tenants Union, in the Office of Councilmember Luna Parra as both chair of the Berkeley Tenants Union and head of the Berkeley Tenant Organizing Task Force to help tenants utilize that law to unionize their buildings. These tenant associations have been formed in 12 buildings across Berkeley, representing almost 1,000 tenants across Berkeley. And we've seen tenants successfully bargain for lowered rents, for better living conditions, and overall more livable spaces. And I'm hoping to see that continue in my term on the rent board. And I hope to use my position on the rent board to give tenants leverage in negotiation with these landlords, many of which are slumlords, many of which are really dealing with extremely poor conditions in their housing. So my goal is to see the number of tenant unions formed double under my tenure on the Berkeley Rent Board. And I hope to make sure that we are doing the outreach necessary and providing the support necessary to make that effective and to yield results for these tenant unions.
Okay. Would somebody like to ask Avery a question?
Yeah, I have one, Carol.
Okay.
Hi, Avery. This is Sherry Hansen. Nice to see you again. Recently, there's been quite a bit of articles and things on the fact that people who are in actually public housing, like for that nonprofits supposedly run, or that the city of Berkeley might be running, have fewer rights than actual renters. That there's no way that they can complain about the living conditions. Do you find that true in Berkeley? And is there something that you think we can do about that?
That sometimes can be true. In Berkeley in particular, one thing that the Tenant Protection and Right to Organize Act did, that I was very proud of getting it over the finish line for that reason, was grant tenants equal protections under Berkeley Tenant Protection Ordinance, under the Berkeley Rent Stabilization Ordinance and Just Cause for Eviction Ordinances. So as a result of that, seniors like those in Harriet Tubman Terrace and Strawberry Creek Lodge that were concerned with their lack of control over enforcement in their housing when it comes to habitability gained a really vital mechanism for uh, seeking justice in their housing. We've seen people in these units effectively bargain with their landlords for better living conditions as a direct result of this change. And definitely want to make sure that that remains the same. We continue to see tenants utilizing these rights, and a lot of tenants, because this is a recent change, don't know that they recently gained all of these rights, but want to nonetheless make sure that they're protected.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Do we have any more questions for Avery?
Mark.
I just have a quick one. For anyone who's worked with Avery, Avery's so brilliant on both micro and macro levels. I was just wondering, do you foresee with the upcoming, let's just say, economic fluctuations that we're all going to be facing, particular stressors, particular threats for renters in the Bay Area and writ large to stay housed?
I mean, yeah, definitely. There was a recent study by the East Bay Community Law Center of the East Bay community's eviction rate, and we've been seeing an increase in evictions locally for non-payment of rent, especially among our senior tenants. We're seeing, especially soon, with the cuts to a lot of social programs conveniently after the midterm elections. We're going to be seeing all of those stressors get even worse for a lot of folks. So definitely want to make sure that our vital city services, such as eviction defense services that we contract out through the East Bay Community Law Center and the Eviction Defense Center, remain funded. And I also want to, and I as a rent board commissioner, I'll be showing up to Berkeley City Council members to rally alongside the people to ensure that also our small sites program and other affordable housing programs continue to be funded, even in the face of the current Berkeley City Council having voted to defund these programs time and time again.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions for Avery? Okay, Avery, thank you so much. Very, very much appreciate you being here. We're going to move on now. We have two more people that are running for to get elected as rent board commissioners. And I have asked the campaign manager for the group, Marissa Oaks English, to cover one of them because he's out of town. He had an emergency, Derek Rodriguez. And so she's going to do that. And also, we have, I may be saying her name wrong, Vylma Ortiz has not shown up. And I know Marissa was going to introduce her. So hopefully, Marissa, you can also stand in for her at the last minute if you can. Anyway, so here's Marissa. Thank you for doing all this.
Of course. I'm so happy to be representing 5 wonderful candidates for Rent Board this year. For those who don't know me, I'm Marissa. Nice to meet some of you and nice to see some of you again. So I'll get started with Derek first. Derek Rodriguez is running as a candidate for the Berkeley Rent Board alongside his fellow candidates on the pro-tenant slate. He is the only Cal student on the Rent Board ballot this year. Derek has spent the last 6 years of his life in public service, first joining the Army at 17 as an emancipated minor, being sent on overseas missions before the age of 21. then continuing public service and local government, helping residents facing housing instability and barriers to essential services. As a member of the National Guard and a tenant organizer, Derek has upheld his oath to uphold the Constitution, uplift working people, and defend the rights of our communities. When deployed to Los Angeles during ICE resistance earlier this year, Derek held true to his values and refused to act against protesters. He was court-martialed and was threatened with severe consequences, including jail time and the loss of vital healthcare benefits and retirement funds. Thankfully, when the Los Angeles operation was deemed illegal, the charges against Derek were dropped. But Derek remains committed to holding up civil liberties, no matter the cost to himself. Whether assisting veterans, supporting local unionization efforts, helping uninsured workers access care, or organizing tenants through the Berkeley Tenant Organizing Task Force, Derek has really dedicated his life to service because he believes that everyone deserves safe and secure housing. Derek has lived in places without meaningful tenant protections, and he knows what happens when housing is left entirely to landlord discretion. Tenants lose. That's why he supports stronger tenant protections, expanded legal support against wrongful evictions, stronger Measure BB protections, and the right of tenants to organize without intimidation. He will take the enforcement of housing justice laws seriously because rent stabilization and good cause protections must exist in practice, not just on paper. He also believes that Berkeley must push beyond the limits of current state law by advocating for reforms to and repeals of Costa-Hawkins and the Ellis Act, so cities can better protect residents from displacement. Our community cannot be left behind in the name of profit and speculation. Derek's campaign is about human dignity, solidarity, and ensuring the people who built this city can continue to call it home. If you believe in tenants' rights, safe housing, and leadership rooted in both policy and principle, Derek humbly asks for your endorsement and the opportunity to serve this community. Thank you.
Okay. I think it would be kind of difficult to have her answer questions for Derek. Would you be able to talk about the other candidate then a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
Vylma's unfortunately having some connection issues. I wish she was here so you could all see how warm and bubbly she is, but you'll just have to pretend I'm like 10 times more charismatic. Vylma is incredibly multi-talented, and she has worked as a deputy public defender, radio host, and meditation teacher. She's lived in a rent-controlled apartment in Berkeley since 2006, where she and her partner have raised two sons, two proud graduates of Berkeley High School. Having served as a public defender in Santa Clara County and as an attorney who worked at the Eviction Defense Center in the early 2000s, Vylma knows how important it is for people to have stable, affordable, and habitable housing. She sees this as the foundation of a healthy community. Vylma believes that we need to treat housing as a necessity and not as a tool for financial exploitation. Since 2013, Vylma has been a host and producer at KPFA who breaks down complex international feminist issues to get to the heart of the matter. Vylma is running to keep rent-controlled apartments safe and functioning and expand affordability options so that we can provide shelter to all Berkeley residents. She aims to address the current housing crises by protecting senior tenants, preserving existing low-cost housing, and building and funding new homes, especially affordable housing for seniors, people with disabilities, essential workers, students, and others struggling to stay in our beautiful city. Vylma's positive attitude lights up a room, making her a natural community builder and organizer. As a rent board commissioner, she will bring a depth of experience gained by working with people across differences to make sure laws are followed and all can enjoy safe, habitable, accessible, and energy-efficient housing. Vylma pledges to work to keep our city economically and ethnically diverse, and to ensure that it is a city that works for us all. Thank you all.
Okay, Marissa, thank you for stepping in at the last minute. Yeah, so was she trying to get in and couldn't get in or what?
I think she's having service issues, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions about the rent board or anything about their election before we move on? Going once. Okay, we are going to move on. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate it. Okay, now we're actually moving back to Contra Costa County people. And we have Brandon Dawkins, who is running for school board, I believe in Antioch, but I'm not positive. And Brandon's going to be introduced by Susana. Go for it, Susana.
Thank you, Carol. So I am thrilled to be introducing Brandon, my fellow organizer. I run into him all over the place. He is out there doing the work and then some. So Brandon's a longtime healthcare worker. He's a union organizer with SEIU 1021. And he is running for school board in Antioch Unified School District. And you can tell them which district because I forgot Brandon. And we absolutely need him to run and to win. His opponent should have never been elected to school board, but we absolutely need somebody in there that's frankly been in school sometime in the last few decades because things have really changed. So without further ado, Brandon, you are up. And you've got 3 minutes, and Micael is going to be timing you, and then we'll probably have a couple questions.
Thank you so much, Susana, for that introduction. Hi, everybody. It is so great to seeing some of you familiar faces on here. I am Brandon Dawkins. I am running for Antioch School Board Trustee Area 5. Just a little about me. I work for the San Francisco Department of Public Health. I'm also the former vice president of organizing for SEIU Local 1021. We've done a lot of organizing work, especially here in the Bay Area. We just won really big with the gig workers. Uber and Lyft drivers are now have the ability to organize into their union. We won a whole lot with the fast food workers as well, raising that $22 minimum wage. However, I'm running for school board because Antioch needs some changes. Antioch is in a bad fiscal position right now. And part of the reason why they're in that bad fiscal position right now is because the key players that are currently on the board, some of them have been serving on the board for years. And Antioch is desperately in need for new, fresher voices with a newer vision and someone who actually has students in the district. I have 4 babies in the district myself. And just someone who's actually lived through a school district going through a fiscal management crisis. I just moved from Oakland 4 years ago where they were actually under state takeover and just recently got off a state takeover last year. So it's important to have parents on the board that not only represents for the current students that are in the district, but also have lived experience on how to manage a fiscal crisis. And, I believe that I am the best person for the position. And this is why I am coming to our revolution, asking for your support and your endorsement, and also with some boots on the ground when I'm out there door knocking, because we really need to change the tide in Antioch politics. We really need true, real progressives that's on the school board and not somebody that's going to hold a seat hostage for many years so they can get their children in and their grandchildren into seats in Antioch. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. And as most of you probably know, I live in Antioch, so I've definitely got a vested interest in this particular race. My daughter went to Antioch schools and is a proud college graduate. Yes, mom did something right. So I'm definitely well versed in what's kind of going on out here, and we need people like Brandon. So I see 2 hands up. Sherry, you're up. You have a question for Brandon?
Hi, Brandon. Nice to see you.
Hi, Sherry.
Obviously, you're going to be fighting, even after you get elected, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle.
Yes.
I have been so impressed with the way you have negotiated the Contra Costa Central Committee, which has some of the same kinds of problems of having people that have been in the same position for a long time and are not quite up to new things. So for the people who don't know you as well, would you kind of explain what your strategy is to sort of get things done with people that may not be totally on your side?
We have to have a heavy ground game because my opponent, the incumbent, has been so established in Antioch politics since 1961. We have to have a heavy ground game. We have to knock on every single door. There is 11,000 voters that are within my trustee area, and my trustee area runs from a very small portion of Pittsburgh, where I actually live, into Antioch over to L Street and then, by the marina, and then it cuts off at James Donlin. So, we have to knock on every single door. There's 11,000 voters. Typically, only 3,500 people vote, but we need to at least have 6 or 7,000 people hitting the polls. And also got to carry voter registration cards, because I know for a fact that there is a certain chunk of Antioch that folks that are not registered to vote. I'm very well with that community, so we're going to have to get those folks engaged in the voting process.
Thank you. Yeah, we need to get a lot more people registered to vote out here. That's for sure. Someone else had their hand raised, and now I forgot who it was.
I had my hand raised, but Brandon answered my question. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. 2 for 1. See? So anybody else have a question? I am seeing no hands raised. Brandon, thank you so much for being here. And yes, we have to have a conversation because I need to help you with your social media, which I have not done yet.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, cool. You're welcome to stick around if you want to, but if you have to leave and go on and do other things, we absolutely understand. So
yes, because I have another endorsement meeting right after this. So thank you all so much.
Awesome. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
And back to you, Carol.
Okay. The next people that we have are 2 people who are running for city council here in Berkeley, and neither of them are here yet. And their time actually isn't due for another 5 minutes. So I'm wondering if we could have Sherry, could you talk about the voting process and becoming a member? Would you be able to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
I always get to do the commercials. So the first thing you have to do to be able to vote is be a member in good standing. Part of that, a big chunk of that, is paying your 2026 dues. Susana, did you put that in the chat for me, that link? Basically, we ask for Bernie Sanders' donation of $27. Every single dollar that we take in goes right back out. We're all volunteers. So it goes back to electing these great candidates, for printing materials, for printing our voter guide, for tabling materials, buttons and signs, and whatever we can do to get these good people elected. So if you are a member in good standing, there's another part of that, which is that we want you actually to participate in our events. That doesn't mean just, baking cookies. It means come out and knock on doors, make phone calls, do whatever you can to get these people elected. I was just absolutely delighted yesterday at the event for Aisha Wahab. We had so many people I knew I haven't seen in a while. There was such enthusiasm and so many people who don't have quite the color hair I do out there. It's much easier for people with young legs. It's like soccer, putting in the young legs to do the door knocking. And it was a fabulous event. And as I know, probably all these people know, there's huge, awful money going up against her. And that's kind of what we are in every single race. We have people power. They've got a lot of money just to waste on some of these candidates, and basically not even for candidates, but against our progressives. So after this event, we will put together Ina, our great digital person and artist, will put together the recording of this, because a lot of our members rely on the recording so that they can get to know all of the candidates better. So right after that, we will send out, we use OPA Vote. And OPA Vote, the email comes out and it's from OPA Vote. It's not from our revolution. So it'll say, from OPA Vote, and look in your spam, because sometimes it ends up in your spam. And the reason we use them to count the ballots is because it's a completely hands-off procedure, and they do all the work and give us the results. So probably I would say you'll get it in your mailbox maybe Wednesday. Vote as soon as you can. And if you don't get it in your mailbox and you did check your spam, then let either Susana or Carol or Michael or Richard or Mark or I or anybody know, and we'll figure out why you didn't get a ballot and see if you're all hooked up the way you're supposed to be. You want me to keep on going, Carol? Has anybody showed up yet?
No, I just heard from Aiden and he wanted to know if he should join. So I think he'll be getting on fairly soon in the next.
Okay. But we really do count on our members both for the financial support, which I know everybody is asking you for money. So, but it does go right to the candidates. You know, we don't play games with it. It goes right out to the candidates. And then the voting, we need your support so that we can hear you and hear your voice on who we should be supporting in this election. And it's a very important election. Okay, have I commercial enough?
I'm gonna, yeah, you were great. Thank you. You guys, if you're not a member, join us. You can have a say in who we support. So one of the candidates is here.
They're both here.
They're both here. Okay. So we have two candidates running for the student district here in Berkeley, District 7, and they're going to be introduced by Mark.
All right. They're both here. Fantastic.
I think Aiden's first.
Oh, fantastic. All right. I first encountered Aiden in 2017 when they were first running for office, I think. And Aiden was passionate and fiery, and he's continued to be so in his subsequent campaigns. And I've been really impressed with his clarity and purpose of his most recent campaign. They are running for Berkeley District 7, and I'm going to let Aiden introduce themselves, say a little something about the district and why they are running. Aiden, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. My name's Aiden Hill. I use they, them pronouns. I'm asking for our Revolution East Bay's endorsement because how we treat our constituents is the standard. Southside needs a council person who answers to tenants, workers, students, unhoused residents, and all the different types of neighbors that choose to come here to Berkeley. Those commitments must be public results, and more than 15,000 people live in District 7. Berkeley's only city council district without a public park. I'm a Southside renter, a clinical health worker, and when I served as a vice chair for the Berkeley's Homeless Commission, I made sure policy determined whether there was food, shelter, safety, and care for the people who were under my care. I organized with People's Park since 2017, and as a lead community gardener from 2019 to 2023, I planted and maintained trees, worked with PG&E to reduce wildfire risk, and helped restore water access. On council, I will partner with land trust and nonprofit builders to preserve low-cost homes and create permanently affordable housing on suitable development sites. I will use our budget votes to fund eviction defense and report homes preserved in the district, affordability, as well as displacement and the cost of this housing. My public safety philosophy is abolitionist in its framework, and it's unapologetically pro-People's Park. I will use the council authority over Berkeley's police policy, making sure that they reduce harm versus getting attack dogs and what else they're doing. I will use the council authority to ensure our contracts are human-centered, that surveillance is no longer acceptable, to advance de-escalation and unarmed responses as a result. And to know that this city council district has two police departments, one being UC Berkeley that has a whole riot police that used them against me, specifically at People's Park. Council doesn't command UC Police, but we can use our influence to do something about it. And that's what I haven't seen from our current council person, as well as their chosen successor. By doing this, by making my council claim, I have the opportunity to use the 2027 Complete Streets budget to help build a Bowditch Commons, because that shouldn't be traffic, it should be pedestrian friendly. And that means making sure that green space is available, there's year-round restrooms and dormitories, recreation, food sharing, and services, which I currently do right now. So my record predates this campaign, as you know. But if our Revolution East Bay endorses me, I welcome members holding me accountable. From People's Park to Palestine, all occupation is a crime. And I'm the only candidate in this race that has taken not a wobbly stance, a full record stance my entire Berkeley life to protecting the poor people as well as the environment that is in District 7. And you will see with my opponent, they're comfortable with the barbed wires. They're comfortable with the fencing. They want that fencing to continue because they voted $14 million to continue to build on People's Park. In a Daily Cal article that came out right now, he said that the building was already
Please finish up.
Yes. He said the building was already completed, but if you look at the drone footage from the SF Standard article, there's no building to be found. So if they don't even know the project that they're voting for, $14 million, why would you endorse them? So again, I'm an I'm a Southside renter, a clinical health worker, an SEIU union member, and my home is People's Park and the city of Berkeley. Thank you.
Thank you, Aiden. Any questions from the audience? Aiden, there's been some pretty shocking votes that have come up through the city council in recent days. Two that are sticking in my mind right now was the vote for flock cameras and also for, and you'll have to tell me if this vote went through or not, to repeal the repeal on tear gas to be used against Berkeley citizens. Tell me your thoughts on those and what you would have done as city council member for District 7.
Yeah, it's not even a debate for me. Tear gas on citizens is never acceptable. I was in the Stop the Hate rally in 2019 when Proud Boys came to the city of Berkeley Civic Center Park. The police didn't stop the Proud Boys. The police stopped us that were trying to protest for our civic liberties. I would never vote to use tear gas on people.
Thank you so much. Any other questions for Aiden? Wow. All right.
Did I answer everything?
My goodness. Well, this is highly unusual. So, well, thank you, Aiden. Thank you for being here this afternoon.
Is it okay if I still use the 4 minutes? I don't know.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You know what?
Okay.
Go ahead. Actually, make it 3 minutes and we'll all be very happy.
Okay. But please, if you have questions, like this is the time. I just kind of want to tell you of some of the things I have in the works. So we had our national night out recently, and we had one in District 7. I was the only candidate that was there that set up a table. But it did highlight what's happening there right next to the Hayward Fault Zone with the Bancroft Steps. So they're in complete disarray. And with this council position, public safety is my priority. And so making sure that there's adequate lighting, adequate paving, and making sure that the buildings that are nearby it know that this is a Path Wanderer Association point. It's so important that when an earthquake hits, the people that are there at the Hayward Fault Line, this Memorial Stadium, they're the ones that have safety. And so if we can't even have the Bancroft Steps being fixed, that also shows a lack of safety. So I want to really prioritize repaving all of the streets because I've had 3 council members from Chris Worthington, Roger Robinson, and Cecilia Lunapara, in which our streets have not been paved. And so my first one is Bancroft Commons, or not Bancroft, the Bowditch Commons, which goes across all of Bowditch from Bancroft to Dwight Way. And that's because we have Measure FF, UC Berkeley's addendum, that they will continue to do increases to street preparedness, as well as the city has portioned the Bowditch Street for paving again. So again, that's my priority right now, and you will be able to see like, did I get the job done in 2027? And I look forward to that. Raphael, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, so I have a quick question for you, Aiden, if you don't mind. Is there any council member currently on the council who you feel like has done a good job, who you'd sort of want to work in a policy way like they've done if you were to be elected?
Of course. I've spoken with Ben Bartlett, Igor Tregub, and I've spoken with the councilperson for District 8. My next step is to speak with the councilperson for District 5. These are all people I've worked with in the past. Both Rashi Kesarwani and Ben Bartlett proposed my sanctuary encampment model when I was on the Homeless Commission. So it's like even Rashi Kesarwani voted for my legislation. And so there's so many people that I want to work with, but I already have good connections on the city council, and I'm ready to proceed with the work that needs to be done.
Thank you so much. Any further questions? Any as the clock ticks down. Aiden, thank you so much.
Again,
Go
from
ahead.
People's Park to Palestine, all occupation is a crime. All occupation. And right now, People's Park is occupied. We just had a meeting. We do not want building development there. And there's only one candidate that has stood by the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Aiden. Thank you so much. All right. The next candidate we're going to talk to is also running for Berkeley City Council District 7. He is a lifelong Berkeley resident, a recent Cal grad, and their campaign has been gaining considerable energy in the district, and he's been a loud voice for protecting labor, endorsed by our friend Cecilia Luna Parra, who is the outgoing council member for District 7. They are Syrac. Micael, tell us why you are running, what is at stake in this election, and what are your big objectives for the city of Berkeley? Syrac, go ahead.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Syrac Micael, and I am proud to be running for Berkeley City Council District 7 and excited to speak with our Revolution East Bay today. Like you said, yeah, lifelong Berkeley resident. I just graduated from Berkeley City College in Cal, and after attending university, I've been able to work with the Alameda Labor Council through different legislative works such as Prop 50, as well as a Black worker organizer with Teamsters organizing Black Amazon workers in the East Bay. And after being in the ASUC in the student government at Cal, working with transfer students, I was appointed as vice chair of the Housing Advisory Commission in the Berkeley City Council, where I've been able to vote to uphold tenant protections and hold more landlords accountable, as well as funding affordable housing in our city. The main platforms and why I'm running for this is simply is three big things. First, affordable housing and tenant rights. I believe we should put our money where our mouth is when it comes to fiscal policy in this city. Next, community-based safety. I'm proud to be a longstanding member of Berkeley Cop Watch and help with door knocking as well as social media through our anti-flock campaign, where we will actually literally flip the council, and I hope to permanently cancel all of our flock contrasts as well as increase community-based safety in our city. And lastly, workers' rights and basic needs. My organizing was founded through the Labor Council. I've always stood with labor, even in student government at Cal. I was able to expand mutual aid funding and actually have our first ever mutual aid hub for workers through the ASUC to show that students stand with workers. And I'm running to be the first Black council member representing District 7, and I'd love to advocate for students and long-term residents alike, especially as being from this city. I've been able to meet so many people that care so much, and I want to share that energy with the incoming students that came to Cal because of the free speech movement and because they want to make a change. And I'm proud to be here today and to make Berkeley more equitable for everyone. And I just wanted to clarify, I'm really going to say this, but there were some lies in that opening statement. Construction has technically truly begun, but isn't completed. That is true. And I voted to just extend reservation funds after there had already been countless stories up on People's Park. And I did oppose and have on record opposition preemptively before the building was built in People's Park. And I'm the only candidate that is backed by student groups, various executive officials in the ASUC, backed by progressive orgs such as the Berkeley Tenants Union, DSA, and I've endorsed by existing council members who I want to legislate and actually use our labor, organizational, and people power to push our city and to make sure that we can truly be a city that stands for all. So yeah, excited for any questions. I think that was under 3 minutes, I hope.
Pretty good.
Very good indeed. Very good indeed. Any questions from the audience? So Syrac, I asked Aiden this and you sort of answered about flock. I'm curious about your stance on lifting the ban on tear gas, but also on the question of labor, looking at the horizon for Berkeley and for the country writ large. What challenges do you see for labor, particularly with the upcoming fluctuations in our economy, and also with the if the threat of AI, if that is something that workers in Berkeley need to be concerned about. Just wanted to get your thoughts on. I know I filled up the plate pretty hefty for you, but take anything in your order.
Yeah, I think starting with workers, right? Like we've seen like different tactics of like union busting throughout the city, whether it's the UC or the Graduate Hotel in District 7, where I was where I was proud to be part of their rally and speak up in support of the workers that are unionizing there. And also even with trades workers and stuff like that, where we'll like try to avoid labor standards. And there's so many different ways we can tackle this. First of all, we want to make sure that workers can live in the city and like can afford to be here. And as we've seen for the past, like the 21st century, uh, costs have gone up, but wages have stayed low. And just making sure, like with like expanding rent control, stuff like that, strengthening our demolition ordinance in our city, making sure that people can stay here, as well as like being a like using like the office like using electoral offices in order to stand with workers and to not just be on the picket lines, but continuously support in their organizing aspirations, not just supporting current using but unions, but expanding unions to other places. And I will be someone who's proud to do that. And I guess transitioning from that into AI, yes, I severely oppose mass surveillance, and I do not just want to stop at flock. I want to make sure that I will not support like mass surveillance in our city. And it's I guess in regards to like other types of technology and stuff like that, we have to make sure that like, oh man, there's so much at the local level. I think to summarize, sorry, I have like a bunch of I look at this all the time. I think to summarize, my philosophy is we should not, along with supporting our climate, we should not dehumanize anybody, especially trying to like have people exploit the workforce. And I want to make sure that like we can't let big tech infuse and dilute the workers in our city, as well as try to price people out. And that's my philosophy. Sorry, I feel like there's like a lot of different ways to go about that question, but I want to just share my philosophy with you.
Thank you for that, and also your stance on the repeal of the ban on tear gas on Berkeley citizens.
Yes, sorry. Thank you for following up with that. Yeah, I severely oppose the ban, and I know that there wasn't enough. They actually tabled the bill until September 15th, and I will be opposing that along with organizing with a lot of members of Cop Watch to make sure that it doesn't happen. And if it were to be proposed, I would immediately like call and like for a repeal of. Sorry, I severely oppose uplifting the ban on tear gas. And if it were to pass council on September 15th, then I would reinstate the ban the second I am in office. That is I hope that made sense.
Kalima, who is a city council member, notices these things very. His ears are really tuned to those nuances. Syrac, thank you so much. I don't see any other questions. I really appreciate you making the time. And Berkeley City Council District 7, it is where our students are, and it is where new ideas should be springing forth, and where the bench should be expanded for the city of Berkeley writ large. I thank you so much for making time. Aiden, thank you so much. Syrac, thank you so much. And I will give it back to Carol.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're expecting two more people.
Here.
They just came in,
You're here.
Who just came in?
both of them.
Oh, okay.
They come with their own theme music.
All
Yeah.
right. So
That was me.
the
Thank you.
first person we have is Mark Rendon, and I ran into Mark actually on a May 1st demonstration. We were both at the BART going where did we go, Fruitvale or something like that. And he
Yes, it
told
was.
me he was running for District 14 against Buffy Wicks. And we were way past our endorsement period. Although me and a number of people voted for him anyhow. Anyway, we have invited him to come here today, and I think Sherry's going to introduce him.
Yep. I get to do it to have the rest of the meeting, actually. I also have just recently met Mark and was really glad that we were able to support his candidacy so that he would actually get into the pass through the primary into the general election. He's running against Buffy Wicks in 8014. And boy, does he have courage. He's running against an establishment corporate Democrat. And he has taught music in the Oakland School District for the past 30 years. So I think that's an amazing experience to bring to our California legislature. I think it will give him a leg up there. He's been a longtime Green Party member. He champions the environment, supports CalCare for all, and social housing. So let's meet our Green Party candidate, Mark Rendon, for 8014.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Carol. And first of all, I really appreciate this opportunity, everybody. Richmond Progressive Alliance. I've known about you for a long time, and I thank you for your consideration. I thank you for Oakland. I misspoke. Our Revolution East Bay. I'm mixing up my endorsements. I'm really running full out right now. I wanted to share a couple of things. I just like maybe 2 or 3 minutes, Sherry.
3 minutes, please.
Yes, I just wanted to share a little bit about my background. For about the last 20 years of teaching in Oakland Unified, I was really involved with the Oakland Education Association. After the '97 strike, I really got involved and started as a site rep for the elementary schools. I have some experience running campaigns within our local union, OEA, where I served as treasurer and secretary, and I also served 2 terms with the CTA State Council. Really one of the main accomplishments I'm really proud of while I was in Oakland was I was a lead organizing a lot of teachers and parents to get the school board to commit to the integrated pest management plan that they currently have. If you're familiar with integrated pest management, it's really an approach to using non-toxic methods in dealing with pests and weeds and so on. Back then I wanted to stop using the Roundup, glyphosate, right? And so we were successful. The school board did adopt that, and they banned the use of all pesticides on the campus. Now, for the past few years, I have been a volunteer with the California Nurses Association, specifically volunteering with them, working with them to pass CalCare, which I think most of you are familiar with CalCare, which is Medicare for all in California. And I think the really key word that I want us to think about is accountability. Accountability for Buffy Wicks. She's the chair of the Appropriations Committee, and last year, when CalCare reached her committee, the last committee to go on to a full vote in the assembly, she blocked it. She wouldn't let CalCare go to a vote, and so it died in her committee. This year, the Dems, the bill was brought up by a progressive Dem, Ash Kalra, and he brought up the CalCare bill again this year, and they didn't even send it, this time, they didn't even send it to the first committee to have the first hearing for CalCare. And what we know from recent polls, 86% of Californians want CalCare. The last thing I wanted to just make a point is that I'm getting more involved now with with No Coal in Oakland. I really want to volunteer with them more, and I'm just reaching out now to all the organizations that I can to ask for your support, because I need 75,001 votes to beat Buffy Wicks. And I feel that I can get enough momentum. I'm getting some fundraising, and with your support and other organizations, I think we can defeat her. So thank you again much for this time.
Okay, thank you. We're going to open it up for questions, but first I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Our organization and a couple of other organizations I belong to have tried to reach out to our current person in the seat, Buffy Wicks.
Yes.
And she's not very forthcoming with talking to constituents or with making meetings or even answering questions or emails. So are you going to continue that same process, Mark, or do you think you'll be a little bit more open to your constituents?
No, I will be more open to all constituents. That's really my intention, that I want to be a voice for working class. I would definitely, having an endorsement from people from Oakland, from people from Richmond, in Piedmont, in Berkeley, then I'm going to represent you. So definitely, I feel that there would be some mechanism in terms of staffing and in terms of scheduling things, that I'll make the time. I'll schedule things to meet with different constituent groups. Definitely.
Thank you. Mark, you have a question?
Well, first I have a comment. Running against Buffy Wicks, be still my heart. and I say this as someone who was a colleague of hers in 2008. All right, Mark, 7,000 plus votes is a lot.
75,001 votes.
Well, I mean, that's the primary number. I mean, there's going to be a lot more people voting in the general election. So tell me how you conceive about winning the district.
Conceive in terms of getting out the vote?
Getting out the vote. What's your strategy in terms of getting your name recognition? Tell us about where your campaign's going next.
Okay, thank you for that question. I think there are probably a couple things that are happening now that we're getting a little bit more momentum in fundraising, that I feel for certain that some of the tools that we're going to be using are a lot of canvassing, getting to a lot of events with palm cards. Another aspect is text messaging. Another aspect that I was just talking about with another media specialist, that we want to do Facebook ads, which we're finding are can really be focused and aren't too expensive in getting the word out. And then I'm really thankful because the Green Party of California has been doing a lot of fundraising and being successful this year in getting a lot more fundraising. So they are providing a lot of support for me outside of the fundraising that I'm doing here with my committee. And I think the last part of the strategy is what I'm doing now, is trying to get as many endorsements from unions. We're approaching all the teacher unions, different environmental groups. The idea that if we can get a lot of endorsements from a lot of organizations, and they're getting the word out to all their people, and we keep getting the word out, that we can hit that 75,000. That's really what I have so far.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
One more thing. Have you approached the Nurses Association for an endorsement?
Yes, I'm in the process with CNA.
All right, that's great. Thank you. Any other questions? We're actually almost on time. I can't believe that.
Okay, great.
We're doing great. Thank you so much, Mark. And honestly,
thank you again.
Are you working with Margot Smith too? Because she had an amazing campaign against Buffy without really doing much except running.
Right. And yes, I am. And in fact, when Margot found out, she's been just sending me all kinds of resources, inviting me. She was the one who invited me to go, Sherry, for the potluck. When I last met you there at the Bushwick Park. Yeah. She's extremely
we haven't really mentioned to everybody, but if you would just put in chat the best way to communicate with you,
Oh,
because you
sure.
are kind of new to this group, and there's a lot of people that would kind of
Let me drop my.
like to get on board with you.
I really appreciate that. Here we go. Let me put that in the chat here.
Mark, thank you for stepping up and running.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time too.
Thank you. As I said, I get to do most of the introductions for the rest of the meeting. So our next candidate is Ryan LaLonde, and he is running as an incumbent to the Alameda School Board. He is currently the president and has been on the school board for 4 years, I think, 4 years. Okay. I first met Ryan when he stepped up to help me with the Bernie Sanders campaign in Alameda. And then we both worked together on trying to get Pamela Price elected. And he's just a all-rounded person. He's an artist. He is committed to equal opportunities for all Alameda students and educators. And as somebody that lived in Alameda for quite a long time, that was not necessarily true of our Alameda school district before Ryan and some other people have come on board. He also has worked with the educators to make sure that system is fair to the teachers and to the employees of the school district. In his spare time, he's a fabulous artist and a great dad. The Alameda School District has thrived under his leadership, and I'm so proud to introduce Ryan to the rest of my group. Ryan?
Hi there. I see a lot of familiar faces. Yeah, thanks, Sherry, for that introduction. My name's Ryan LaLonde. It's a complicated last name. It's French, but then it's Americanized, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I'm currently the Alameda School Board president. I am running for the short term this cycle, which is a 2-year seat that's left open by a vacated member, because I want to be able to have a little more flexibility in 2 years in what I'm doing. And a 4-year commitment felt like a really long time, given that my son just graduated high school and I'm moving him in to college in 2 days, actually. He's going to the University of Colorado, Denver. And I was like, am I going to rip everything out of my life that I'm doing right now, which is advocating for students and being at home with my kid? And so I'm going to stick with advocating for students. I am Alameda's first openly gay person ever elected to office. We've had other LGBTQ folks run, but were never elected, or people ran closeted and came out later. I am, as Sherry mentioned, I was the communications director for Pamela Price's winning campaign to the DA's office. And then I served as her communications director for a little bit during the transition. I was also the chair of her transition committee. And I've worked on bonds and parcel taxes in the city. Every campaign I've worked on, I've won. So it's a nice little moniker. I'm working on someone's campaign this cycle. I'm hoping they're going to win as well. I'm encouraging them to apply also for your endorsement. Just running for AC Transit. As you know, AC Transit needs a lot of help resource-wise, and they need someone in there that's going to solve problems. And it's really critical for someone like me who's advocating for students getting to school, particularly around transportation issues with some of our most highest absenteeism students not having public transit readily available on the west end of the island. I may not have an opponent. I may run unopposed. I will know on Wednesday. But Sherry was so nice to let me be a part of this process, because I'm going to be gone doing college move-in, and I'm also going to be flying to Michigan. My grandmother's in hospice. She's 95 years old, and I'm going to spend a week with her. So fingers crossed that I don't have a race. I have all the infrastructure there if I do. And if I don't, I will tell you what I'm working on. I'm working on Prop 3 to get that passed here in Alameda. I'm going to be working on other candidates that I support. And I'm going to be helping Adriana. I'm giving her a lot of advice and guidance on this campaign. And as well as other people that are running for the school board that I would like to work with. Yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. My husband and I just celebrated our 30th anniversary, um, and we've worked in campaigns since we've been together. So
That's terrific. I'm going to open it up for questioning, but first I have a question. Ryan, on your questionnaire, you sort of had kind of ambivalent answers about charter schools. And I know there's interesting kind of charter schools in Alameda that people that don't live in Alameda might not be familiar with. So I thought I'd give you a little bit more opportunity to kind of explain your position on charter
That's
schools.
one of those things that happens because there is a different structure here. We have 3 charter schools that are public charter, and we have a symbiotic nature with them. They all rent our properties from us, and we actually oversee them being charters like any other public school district. And there will only ever be the 3. Only about 40% of our students from the city attend those. They really pull in students that couldn't even go to our district. So in a competition sense, we have not that many issues. And they don't really have a high school track. They have one small high school track. So those students become our students. And so we try not to be too fractious with them. And we do parcel taxes with them because the parcel taxes also go to their schools. And then the other component is that we won't be allowing more than the 3 that ever happen. I mean, that's kind of our thing. 3's enough. We're doing good. We compete against parochial all the time here. And the other thing around the charter schools here is that they are unionized with their own union. We all work pretty friendly together. But I understand how charter schools affect public education and pull dollars, dollars that are very needed that we don't really get because of Prop 13 and many other reasons in the state of California. So we are a little lucky, weird, and in our own island.
that you are. Mark, you had a question.
Ryan, I've always been admiring and impressed by you and your work on the board. Also, when you led the school modernization bond from years ago, thank you so much for that hard work. My question is about what do you see in the future? So the California budget resources may be strapped dramatically. What challenges do you see for the Alameda, education system in the upcoming years, just next year?
There's a couple things. One is Prop 3 is completely needed, which is why I'm going to work really hard on that. That would be about 12 to 15% of our budget from the state. If that doesn't pass, would go away. That would be detrimental to any school district at this point. Other things on the horizon for us. I really want to work more on public-private partnerships. I think as a school district, we really don't have that infrastructure built in. A lot of other school districts can get donations for a basketball court or for an art program or donations of products and supplies. We as a school entity don't have a nonprofit wing for that to come through, and they won't donate to a government entity as a school district. So I'm working with a group to create a nonprofit foundation that is sisters to AEF, but we do different things so that that money can come in the district. As far as the reason for some of that is that, for instance, the federal government cut any funding and grants and resources for teachers who want to continue they need to do CTEs and for their recertification, and that used to be paid for by the federal government through a lot of grants through the Department of Education. That was wiped out during this administration, and so private foundations and organizations are stepping up, but we as a district can't take advantage of that because they can't give to a government entity. So this nonprofit would kind of step in to be the fiduciary sponsor for that money to come through. On the landscape for us, I think reforming Prop 13, at least the commercial side, I think is a huge component that we would really benefit from. And then I think we've always been a school district that has been very conservative in its budgeting. I think that the work that I did this year as president to create 3-year labor peace with our teachers and school employees has really going to lead for that stability and help us get into the next administration where our Department of Education comes back and maybe some of these things we don't have to fight for so much.
Great, fantastic. Get that money for those schools. Get those wealthy people to cough it up. Always been a fan.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Thanks. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Okay, Ryan has just, I'm sorry I clobbered your name, but I clobber everybody's name, so
it's
I'm
totally
not
fine.
even
I'm
so
used to
good
it.
with Smith, so it wasn't personal.
No.
Anyway, he's really a good guy, and personally he's a good guy. So I think this is a good move for you to do the 2 years, and I hope you just keep on moving up the ladder and we see more of you.
We'll see. Thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Carol.
Oh, okay.
We're actually on time.
Wow.
We just heard from 12 fantastic people, guys. So get ready to vote. So we have a little bit more time before we're officially done. And I think most of you know Susana Williams. She is not only a co-chair of our Revolution East Bay with me and Sherry, but she's also on the board of the National Our Revolution group. And she's going to kind of just talk a little about what we're all doing. Susana.
Thanks, Carol. I'm the California organizer for Our Revolution National. And so we do a lot of different things. So yesterday we helped one of our endorsed candidates, endorsed by ORED as well as OR National, Aisha Wahab. And it all started with Pramila Jayapal coming down from Washington to help her canvass. And it just exploded from there. It became a party. So Latifah wanted in. So then we had Congresswoman Latifah Simon join. Then Assemblywoman Liz Ortega came on board. And before you know it, we had well over 100 people out at a park in Pleasanton yesterday, all there to support Aisha. I spoke at the event, represented Our Revolution. We have some amazing photos, so check out our website, check out our socials. They've been posted. Our Revolution National is posting them. We also had Keith Brown from the Alameda Labor Council was also out there as a speaker. So many of you guys all came out. I know a lot of people on this call were out there, and it was just a great day, an amazing progressive group of people with a lot of seriously strong leaders being represented out there, from casual organizers on up to federally elected officials. So it was a great time. We've also been working on
and also who spoke was Susana Williams, speaking on behalf of Our Revolution.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
I know. Starting to get back into the public speaking again. So it's been a little while. And Our Revolution National is also working on data centers, so stay tuned on that. There's a lot of that happening across the nation. We're part of a 500+ organization nationwide coalition that is working to put moratoriums in place so that we can, take a harder look at this, because data centers are kind of proving to be not the greatest thing on the planet, to say the least. Propositions. You're gonna hear more from ORED on this, but 2 major propositions that Our Revolution National has gotten behind. Proposition 4, which is the California Fair Vote Act. You may remember SB 42, which was the ballot initiative to get it on the ballot. And what it does is it removes the ban on non-charter cities for having publicly funded elections. I don't know whose brilliant idea that was, but somebody made a law back when that said if you're not a charter city, you can't have a public funded election. This would remove the ban. The California Democratic Party and probably every progressive organization on the planet has endorsed it. It's not got a lot of serious opposition, mainly the Jarvis tax people who literally oppose everything. And then a little bit more controversial is Prop 40, which is the Billionaires Tax Act. It took us a bit of doing, but we managed to get the state Democratic Party to endorse it last weekend in San Diego. That was a floor fight, but we got it done. The Labor Federation has endorsed it. CNA has endorsed it. All across the board, progressive organizations are endorsing it. Bernie Sanders gave out a major shout out when the California Democratic Party endorsed it. So we've got a lot of strong support behind it. There's definitely opposition and they've got money. It's all the tech bros because, and this is a one-time tax. So it's like, seriously, but they're out there opposing it. So we're going to all have to work hard to get the word out. So that's kind of what we have been working at. I popped a few pictures into chat if you can access them of the Aisha event. And there's a lot more on our website, which I just finished updating a little while ago, and also on our socials. So back to you, Carol.
Okay, we got what, 6 more minutes. One thing that we do when we have a little time, anybody who is on the call who would like to talk for maximum of 2 minutes about making an announcement or talk about anything, raise your hand. We'd like to hear from you. If there is anybody. Nope, going once. Okay, I guess we're finished, guys. Check YouTube in about...
Just a sec.
Okay.
How do I pay dues without opening a Nazi PayPal account?
Cash or check, like when you get a hold of one. Michael, you can deposit cash, right? There's no reason. Okay, yeah, cash or check. Whenever you see one of us board members, take care of it then.
Yeah, I think last time you paid, you gave me cash.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tried doing this. I can't deal with PayPal, so.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Peter Thiel is one of the founders of PayPal, and he's not our favorite person, to put it mildly. Okay. If you're
I'm going to stop the recording.
Sure, you can stop the recording. If you're a